So now that we've seen some examples of arithmetic sequences, we are going to try to develop a formula that will give us the nth term of any arithmetic sequence. So to do this, we are going to work under the assumption that we have an arithmetic sequence and that A1 is the first term of the arithmetic sequence and D is the common difference. So to come up with a general formula, what we're going to do is we're going to start writing out the first few terms of the sequence. Okay, so we have to have a starting point. So we're working, like I said, under the assumption that we know what the first term A1 is. Okay, so A1 is equal to A1. And then how would we get A2? Okay, well, to get A2, all you would have to do is take the previous term, which would be A1, the term that comes before it, and add the common difference to it. Okay, so to get the second term in the sequence, you would just take the first term, A1, and add D to it. Okay, moving on to get A3. How would you get A3? Well, A3 you would get by taking the second term, the term that comes before it, and add the common difference. Okay, but we can go a step further now. Okay, we know what A2 is. A2 is the same thing as A1 plus D. Okay, so I'm going to make this substitution here. A2 is the same thing as A1 plus D. Okay, and I'll keep this highlighted in yellow, okay, because all these things in yellow are equivalent. Okay, so we know that A2 is A1 plus D, but we still have to add this other D. Okay, so if we simplify, that tells us the way we can generate A3 is A1 plus 2D. Okay, so this gives us a formula for getting A3 based on A1. Okay, so we're going to continue in this manner. So if we move on to A4, okay, so if we move on to A4, to get the fourth term, we know we need to take the previous term, which is A3, and add the common difference. Okay, but we can do the same kind of thing we did before. Okay, we know how to get A3. We already have a formula for it. A3 is the same thing as A1 plus 2D. So we're going to pop that in. Okay, so we can rewrite A4, which is A3 plus D, this way. A3 is the same thing as A1 plus 2D. Okay, so A3 is the same thing as this. Okay, this is the blue quantity. Okay, and we still have to add another D. Okay, if we simplify, we get a way to calculate A4 based on A1. Okay, A4 is going to be A1 plus, we have 2D's plus another D, that's going to be plus 3D. Okay, we keep doing this. Okay, I'll do it a couple more times. Moving on to A5. Okay, to get the fifth term in the sequence, we need to take the previous term, which is A4, add the common difference. Okay, and then so this will tell us, this will give us a way to get A5. Okay, because remember, every time you're dealing with an arithmetic sequence, to get a term, you just need to take the term that came before it and add the common difference. Okay, so let's do what we've been doing. Okay, so we already know a formula for A4. To get A4, it's the same thing as A1 plus 3D. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make that substitution. A4, what I have in purple, that's the same thing as A1 plus 3D. Okay, so this is A4. Okay, the purple stuff is equal. And now we need to go and add another instance of D here. Okay, so if we simplify, we get that A5 is the same thing as A1 plus, we have 3D plus D, that's going to be plus 4D. Okay, we'll do this one more time. Okay, so for A6, we can get A6 by taking the previous term A5 and adding the common difference. Okay, we know that A5, we know a formula for it. It's the same thing as A1 plus 4D. All right, so we'll pop that in. A5 is the same thing as A1 plus 4D. Okay, so all the green stuff is equivalent. Okay, So A5 is the same thing as this. We still have to tack on another instance of D. Okay, so if we simplify, we come up with a way of getting the sixth term. It is A1 plus 5D. Okay, and we can keep doing this. But we've done the first six terms and we can already see a pattern if we go back and look at this. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on. If we go back to where we started filling in blanks, if you look down this first column, if you look to the left of the equal sign, we've got each term that we found. So we've got A1, A2, A3, all the way down to A6. And then what we did was we calculated a way to get that term. Okay, so we'll start here. Okay, if we do A2, okay, so if the A2, okay, this is going to be n equals 2. This is the second term in the sequence. Okay, if we were dealing with A1, our n value would be 1. Okay, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with a formula for the nth term, which is an. Okay, so if n equals 2, that would give us A2. Okay, and the formula was A1 plus D. Okay, if we move on to n equals 3, where we're looking at A3, okay, the formula at the end of the day is going to be this guy. Okay, this A1 plus 2D. Okay, so what you can see here is we take A1, the first term, and we're adding some multiple of the common difference. Okay, so how does 3, the n value, relate to the number that we're multiplying D by? Well, this is n minus 1. This is 3 minus 1. Okay, and you can see this pattern continues. If we go to n equals 4 and we look at how we generate the fourth term, A4, okay, here is the formula we came up with. Okay, we always start by taking the first term, which is A1, and then we're adding a multiple of D. Okay, the number we're multiplying D by is the n value minus 1. Okay, here the n value is 4, the fourth term. We're subtracting 1. 3 is the number that we're multiplying the common difference by. Okay, this formula continues to hold. For n equals 5, okay, the fifth term, we come over here and look at the formula we generated. Okay, again, we're taking the first term, we're adding a multiple of D. The number we're multiplying D by is the n value minus 1. Here it's 5 minus 1, or 4. Okay, we'll do it one more time. If you're looking at the sixth term, A6, how do you generate A6? Again, you always start out with A1. You take the first term, you add a multiple of the common difference. Okay, that number you're always multiplying D by is n minus 1. Our n value here is 6. 6 minus 1 gives you 5. Okay, so what this tells us, this pattern is telling us, to get an, the nth term, all you need to do is take A1, the first term, and add a multiple of the common difference. The number you're going to multiply D by is going to be the n value minus 1. Okay, that is what we have observed in these 6 terms that we generated. Okay, so if you go to the top of page 3, I have this summarized in a box. To compute the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, this is what you're going to do. In an arithmetic sequence with first term A1 and common difference D, the nth term an is given by the following. An is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference D. Okay, this is a really handy formula because you may be dealing with an arithmetic sequence and maybe you know the first 10 terms or so. But what if you wanted the 1000th term in the sequence? Okay, you don't want to sit there and count out from term 10 to term 1000. Okay, this is a handy dandy formula that will help you generate any term in your arithmetic sequence. All you need to know is the first term and the common difference D.